Hi, guys, and welcome back to P Square Sips&Convo with Pamela Guillory Lee
and Paulette Afro Angela Abinomo. And today we have a special guest, Darlington Onyeri, who will be here discussing his journeys through entrepreneurship and also introducing his vodka line that he has started. So, welcome, Darlington. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, ladies, for having me. Great to be here.
Awesome. For Sips&Convo, cheers. Thank you for joining
joining
us.
us. And today we're going to talk about Darlington and his business and his vodka Veev. So we're going to get into where you can buy Veev for the holidays. At the end, we'll discuss drinks that you can make for the holidays. And then we just want to talk about him and how he got started in the process of starting Veev and his other business adventures. And we're excited to have him today.
Thank you, ladies. I'm happy to be here.
Yes.
Good.
Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Tell us a little about you and the company.
Once again, I am Darlington. My company, my main corporation is D&D Global Incorporated, and under that umbrella corporation there's so many different businesses that I have underneath it, as far as businesses I've started, businesses that I've invested in. Majestic Marketing Solutions is one of the businesses I started and gone from there, as well as Veev is one of the businesses that I've invested in and worked with. It was started with two brothers, and I wanted to make it grow, and very thankful for it. Thankful for the opportunity that the brothers have given me to be a part of it, and really grateful and thankful for the success that it's done so far, and those who have supported me.
Absolutely. So how did you begin that process, or what motivated you to go into that line of business, that industry?
Pretty much when I started everything, I wanted everything to have some sense of my personality, which is why I named the company, the corporation, D&D, two sides of me. D with the period is for Darlington, the business-minded person, and D with the two E's on it is the same D that typically most people know me by, and the unconventional type person is the best way for me to describe that personality of me. And so every business that I started had to have one of the essences as part of it. And so since I am a aficionado of the alcohol and all that comes with it, I decided to that alcohol was one of the things I wanted to get into it. Me and the business partner, we started some spas overseas,
Oh, okay.
and I wanted it to be exclusive. That was our game plan for it. And so with the wines that I've invested into, that was part of it. And then I wanted an alcohol brand as well of it too. And then getting involved with Veev in itself, it was a perfect opportunity.
Okay.
And that was pretty much it.
Just being that business-minded person, looking for something different.
Looking for something to put alcohol in it, to put the business into it, to put the bougie type person I want to portray to be. Every now and then with my spas, I wanted to mix both worlds together, and so there you have it.
Absolutely.
So what are some of the barriers that you had to encounter during this process? Because we know it's not easy. You can't just come up with the brand and just put it out there and expect, hey, a huge turnover. So what difficulties were there along the way, if you don't mind sharing?
Oh, wow.
Just in entrepreneurship.
Pretty much the number one thing with me was I went to school to be a doctor. I'm Nigerian, so any typical Nigerian knows you only grow up to be one or two things, doctors or engineers.
Yeah.
So I went to school to be that, and I never took a business class. And which was one of the biggest regrets that I've had so far. And so everything was trial and error. So that was the biggest obstacle at the moment I had. I had no idea of how to run the business, what all goes in behind running the business. How do you stay on top of the money that you're making, and how do you redo just everything. And so I was lucky enough to have some really good people around that I learned from. I constantly asked questions from. My first business, unfortunately, that I tried to get involved in wasn't successful at that. So a lot of things went behind it and failing. And I remember me and a buddy of mine that I grew up with, we both got into that business at the same time. And when things started failing with it and things went really crazy with it, he gave up and was like, no, that's it for me. And that's the one thing that I found was issue. It was, especially with us minorities, it's real easy for us to give up because not one of us, because no one is there to teach us how to do it.
Right.
We didn't have that, say, multi-millionaire uncle or something that comes in and says this is what you do or trains us from a young age. So everything that we do is either trial and error. That's even if we're willing to get started in the first place.
So pretty much y'all started from scratch and just gained your knowledge on your own, or did you maybe pick the brains of other people that may be in that business?
I gained knowledge. I picked brains.
Yep.
I have been blessed with some of the with working and studying from some of the best business mentors out there.
Okay.
So just soaking up their knowledge. What do I do? Okay, I did this wrong. How do I learn from that? How do I go? And so that was the biggest obstacle. One of the biggest obstacles right there was me not having the knowledge and trying to get things going as I'm learning and learning how to fail along the way and not give up and continue to pick myself back up and then continue to go from there.
Now, did you have an issue where you tried to gain that knowledge from particular people and you felt like they were trying to restrain that information because they didn't want
They don't want you to rise where they are. Yeah, that is definitely.
Y'all really want me
You
to
don't
do
have to
it?
name names, but yes.
Let's be honest, because when you start a business and people see what your potential is,
Yes.
especially as African Americans, colors, we tend to do this. Stop,
We
block,
wanna-
and block.
yes.
We don't really want to maybe pass on the knowledge to somebody else because they feel like it's always competition.
Correct.
And as black people, we got to stop that cycle,
Right.
y'all. We got to stop
We do.
that. But did you have anyone, person of color, that was in that business and you felt like, hey, I'm not going to give you what I know?
Right.
I did. I literally had someone tell me in the very beginning that I was trying to gain knowledge from him. He told me, so literally out of his mouth, exact words, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
And I was dumbfounded by it. I didn't know what to say. I literally, I believe my exact words in response to him was, excuse me? What? I don't understand. I don't understand. What do you mean?
Yeah.
And he basically said, I typically don't do things for someone unless, I don't scratch backs unless someone's able to scratch my back.
Yeah.
And so that was discouraging. That was very, very discouraging, very, very disappointing.
Was that somebody you personally knew that you felt like you could come to them and ask them for this information?
Not someone personal, but someone that I knew and had conversations with, and we'll see each other out and about.
So you
and
knew
we'll
them
have
from
some-
around.
I
Okay,
knew him,
right.
and then and I said, okay, and can you help me with
Right.
this? And that was his response. And the funny part about it is, it's funny how life works in mysterious ways like that. I ran into him a couple of years ago, and he's like, oh, Darlington, I heard you're doing so great. You're doing this and that. Let's sit down and do lunch one day and see what we could do. And me being the petty person that I'm sorry, I can be very petty. My first words to him was, so what's in it for me?
Right.
He gave me
Absolutely.
the exact same response.
same energy
And he
you
looked
put
at
out.
me like,
So you gonna
say
get it.
what?
Yeah.
I said,
Did you forget?
Oh, you don't remember that.
Right.
Oh, that was
Right.
the words that you gave me many years ago
Absolutely.
when I started. So
But that shows that he may have had self-doubt on what you were capable of doing. I think on the other end, though, and you can chime in on this, on the other end, let's say someone wants to come in and start their own brand. Do you feel like this is information that should be earned? Because I know, like, me being a business owner, it's like, okay, I want to see that you really want to get this knowledge. I'm not going to just hand it to you. So do you agree with that?
I don't believe it's not a situation where it should be earned. I believe it is a situation to where we are all in the same boat. There is really a lot of potential success for everyone.
Everybody
No one is
can
going to make it. Even Jeff Bezos, who's almost $200 billion, still doesn't have all the money in the world.
Right.
And so there's so much of it that we can do. And
There's room for everybody to make it.
this room for my mentors, they all told me, every one of them, they gave me knowledge. Passing on. Knowledge is meant to be passed on.
Absolutely.
And
Meant to
so
be shared.
I've always been that type of person to go and support whoever needs that support, whoever needs that knowledge from me. As a matter of fact, the person I'm wearing now, Renyaro Brilliant, this is her fashion line.
Shout out to Onyeri.
You know what I'm saying? So, and we talk all the time. She's always, she comes to me and asks me for advice on certain things, and I'm quick
to give
give it to her. And that was because I saw and I remember what it was like to start off, and have someone who was in a position to help you with knowledge or any kind of resources, and they just look at you and say no.
Right.
And so that's a terrible feeling, and I just don't want to pass that on. That's my goal.
Absolutely.
That's nice. Okay. Well, do you feel as a black man that you have had more to prove while you're in this process of starting this business?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. As a minority, you're constantly having to go double the extra mile just to make yourself worthy of the ones who let's just be honest, basically didn't do anything to get to where they are.
It was passed on to them.
It was passed on to them, and they've garnered more respect out there. So that was the key, and I've learned that as well too. It's difficult being someone in my situation, someone who didn't have the knowledge, who was learning on the way, who was still trying to figure things out and go, and then to prove that I'm just as capable of doing what I'm able to do as the next person.
Right.
It took many years to get to that point, and I think that's the kind of thing that hinders a lot of minorities out there, is the simple fact that, one, we don't have the resources to try to get it started in the first place, and then two, once you get it started, you're having to work double hard for someone to take you as serious as the next person.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
All right. So you have a lot of friends. I know that. Every time we're somewhere and you walk in the building, you know everybody in that building. Everybody in that space. Yes. So everybody knows Darlington. So, but I'm quite sure you have a smaller personal circle. And in that personal circle, whether it be family, friends, did you have people that tried to persuade you not to take certain business ventures or try to discourage you? Like, man, that ain't gonna work. Man, you ain't gonna make no money.
You know, when you start a business,
right?
Friends be acting real funny.
They do. They do.
To be honest with you, anyone that's done that is probably no longer in my personal circle.
But did you have it happen though?
I did. Okay. I did have a couple of people as.
Let it out.
Yes. It happens. Oh my goodness, it happens.
I had my experience.
I've had people, especially in the beginning, because I did it a little bit the unconventional way. I said I'm going to take 10 years of my life. Basically my entire 30s. And I'm going to spend my entire 30s growing the business, doing what it takes, sacrificing every dime I have is going to go back into it. Just recycling. So I had to force myself to live well below my means in order to have the resources I needed to get there. So I did have people at the time within my circle in the very beginning who, and even sometimes family can look at you and be like, what are you doing? What are you trying? And it's hard to explain your vision. When you're starting something from the very beginning and you're seeing it, it's hard to put it into words what you see.
To illustrate that vision.
So other people can see it the way that you see it. And so it got to a point where I just stopped talking about it and just went ahead and started doing it. And so in the course of that, when you can't explain it, you have people who sit up there and, I don't know, and why are you still doing this? You're still, you're still driving the same, 2000 Honda Accord and stuff like that. So are you really doing?
Are you making moves?
Are
Yeah.
you really making moves?
Yeah.
Are you really doing things? And so those were the people who were in my ear. I don't know. Are you sure about this? Or you thought about doing something different? Or didn't you say you wanted to be a doctor at one point? Like, why you not doing it? You sure?
Right.
Like, yeah, you can still go be a doctor if you want to.
Maybe this isn't your calling.
Maybe literally people I grew up with. So that is something else that's also disappointing, also discouraging in itself. So, like I said before, those type of people are typically not in my circle, because when you're trying to get there and when you're having those long nights of where you are doubting yourself, where you are like, okay, let me go give me a couple of dollars to go get me that Wendy's Junior Bacon cheeseburger because that's all I can afford. No, ma'am, I don't need the cheese. Just get me you know what I'm saying? Maybe next time I can get some cheese. So when you're doing it, and you're really sitting in them long nights and them sleepless nights, if you're going through everything and you're building and you're planning and you're sculpting the vision into some kind of physical thing, you doubt yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's very important to have people around you that no matter what, they're going to be like, hey, if you fail, we all going to fail with you.
Yeah.
If you succeed, we all going to succeed with you.
Absolutely.
And so that's very important for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good that you mentioned that, because I feel like if that's your passion and that's your purpose, and people are in your life for a purpose, so if they're not with you on that journey, maybe they're just not meant to be your friends.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what I learned. One of my mentors told me, if you're determined to get to where you need to be, you have to accept the fact that you will lose people on the way. The moment you accept that, that's when you're going to start to reach your goals.
Absolutely.
Because not everyone is meant to be there for you. And then if you're, because I used to always have some kind of, because at the end of the day, my parents raised us to be humble. My parents raised us to never forget where you're coming from. If you got to work 3-4 things to get it happen, never be ashamed. Pride is one of the biggest sins that just doesn't play in our family. And so I always felt kind of bad about just trying to show a little bit of me doing something or talking about it, because I'm still that same person. As you guys know, I'm still that same person that is from Third Ward, Houston, who knows all my people, went to Westbury High School, who knows everybody, and will sit up there and still shoot the breeze with them like it's like nothing has changed. It's still me. I'm still that person. So I used to have people that made me feel guilty about that. Yeah. I used to have people that I knew that made me feel guilty about it.
You got a Kleenex over there, friend. Talk about it.
And so that bothered me a lot. That bothered me a lot of, man, am I changing? Because at the end of the day, I still want to be that same person. I still want to be that person that doesn't let success or anything like change me. Still be honest, that same person that my father said, no matter what, if you feel like you're too good to still get back in that ground and that dirt and still work the dirt as day one, then what have you gained in life? If you've lost yourself along the way. But my dad and my mom said that. And so I try to make sure, but at the same time, you want to grow your knowledge, and you want to be around people who push you, people who are also growing at the same time and building like-minded, and go from there. So once I learned that balance, and I learned to accept what I'm going to do, where I'm going, and who's going to be there, who's not going to be there, then the stress went off.
But I feel like everybody that you know is not going where you're going, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with leaving some people behind, but at the same time, I always want to give back. It might not be to that person, but I always want to give back to where I come from. And so I feel like everything that you said is, just facts. Like, it is.
That's what you have to do. You have to. You give back in a certain way. I learned to giving back directly like that is not going to work. I had to find a different way of giving back, which is how I got involved in some other things with the kids and everything.
The Shape Community Center.
Yeah, exactly. And building these facilities and working with different organizations like that. That was my way of saying, okay, this is me giving back.
Yes, absolutely.
I think also what comes to play is that most people that may, I guess, help encourage you or that you put that energy into is people that you don't know. Because normally, when you're going through your success, or you're going through your business and you're growing, yeah, you have your friends who may or may not be there for you, but you notice that the people who are your biggest cheerleaders are the ones who don't know you personally. That you may influence or you may touch. So like giving back is, not to say it's hard, it can be. I guess you got to figure out who to give back to. But when you're giving back to somebody that doesn't know you personally, but they've seen your journey, they've seen you grow, that can influence them to start their own business and keep moving forward. So,
but a lot of the people that I feel they still judge you on things and mistakes that you made in the past.
Of course.
Yeah,
so they're basing your future successes on your past failures.
Right. And my thing is, if you always had it in you, I feel like your passion's always been inside you. Something ignited you on the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if those people can't see that, hey, I don't feel like it's you that's changing. I think it's just you being more exposed of who you really are as a person. What's happening is that they're not changing. They're being consistent.
And they might not be ready for where you're going.
Exactly.
And that's why I always say, I am okay with leaving people in my past. I had to learn that, but I am A-okay with leaving you in my past.
And I think
don't feel bad about it.
Any successful person in life has to eventually, any person who's successful or wants to strive to be successful has to learn that lesson somewhere along the line. Not everyone is meant, and it's not to say that I still don't have love or affection or give a care about those people. I still give a care. If I see them, it's always love. It's always how you been. Hey, let me get you a drink. Let me do just appreciate.
Let me show you how God blessed me. For everybody.
But not necessarily that though.
That's where the petty come in. I'm just you order an expensive drink and be like, girl, I'll see you later.
Put that on my house tab. That's how we do it. You know how we do it, Jerome. Come on now, work with me, Jerome.
Yes. Nah, I'm just playing.
But yeah, it's funny. Yeah. It's funny when you go on that and, like I say, there's no one there to teach us these things. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's an experience that you gotta learn through.
Yeah.
That's my...
And it makes you more grateful for, even though you had to learn it through the mud, it makes you more grateful for the experience that you had, even though it wasn't handed to you. You have that knowledge and you can share that knowledge and you can keep people from making the same mistakes that you made.
Yeah.
That's I think that is the whole purpose of what I'm doing, because I constantly, and I will never stop saying this, I constantly remember how it was when I started. That sticks with me. That drives me. That drove me my first 10 years to get to where I'm at, and that's driving me my next 10 years to pass it on and to give it back. So there are more people who don't feel this. That's my goal. And if I can get at least 2 to 3 people, maybe just one to my life, who knows, one person to go through it without having to go through that, then I've done
your job.
I've done my job, and I've helped. And if I could teach them to pass it on to the next person after that, keep that cycle going. Now,
share it.
Keep sharing.
Yes.
So that's what gets me through those long nights. And that's what makes me grateful and blessed and thankful that the Lord has given me the ability to live through those 10 years, to be here where I'm at, and then have the ability to pass it on. So just to see all that finally coming out and doing that, sometimes it's overwhelming. Sometimes,
Yeah.
It's
But in a
overwhelming
good way,
sometimes.
though,
Yeah, in a
right?
good way.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming in a good way. I'm so
Because you
thankful.
can now sit back and say, thank you. You know, thank you. I did it.
Because
But you still have work to do, you know.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
it's like the sacrifice that you made, you're seeing into fruition right now.
Yeah.
So that's a blessing.
Them long, hard days. Y'all.
Yeah.
Long,
And then also
hard days.
encourage people that, hey, you might have those humble beginnings where
Yeah.
it's not going to be perfect. That's
Yeah.
why I'm a true, and she can tell you this, I'm a true believer of, even though the quality might not be good, just go ahead and put it out there. Now, you can tell me if you agree or don't agree. Some people are like, no, you got to make sure that all your ducks are in a row and everything is working out perfectly. But it might not be that way. Sometimes it just takes like just that vision, like the mustard seed, and you put it out there and then you water it and grow. And
Yeah.
like everything's just not going to always be into place. It might not be perfect. It might not have the best quality, but you got to start from the ground up somewhere. You know what I mean? So like, what's your advice on that?
I say if you're waiting for everything to be perfect, then you will be dead before it happens.
Yeah.
Nothing is going to be perfect. Nothing arrives. If I waited, because when I was planning everything, I mean, it was long nights of me sitting up, writing down the notes. Okay, this is what I want to do. So maybe this. How do I do this? Blah blah blah. And so there was without saying any names, there was a person, a gentleman that I knew, who was with, and he kept on saying, "Okay, wait till this. It's not the time yet." He kept on pushing things down. Yeah, but you gotta wait until this time. It was pretty much that philosophy of the time is not right. Are you sure? And when it got to the time when I was like, okay, now it's time for me to I'm just to do it. Boom. I can't wait any longer. He kept on saying, are you sure? So I just keep thinking and the funny part about it, he had something going on that he kept on waiting for the perfect time. He's still waiting.
You see that? Yeah.
And this was in 2007 to about 2006, 2007.
So that's someone you feel like is operating out of fear. If you're always waiting on that perfect time,
that's fear. It will not be for everyone out there. It will never be perfect.
Never.
I will tell you this right now. It will never be perfect. If you're waiting for the right time, it will not happen.
Yeah.
Let me correct that. If you're waiting for the perfect time, it will not happen. It has to be right. You have to have that feeling in you, that emotion, that
passion.
Passion. Okay, now is it. I'm going to step out on faith.
right?
Yes.
Make it happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Too many people want to do that, and it never works out like that. And I've talked to many entrepreneurs, and they've all said the same thing. I just took a step out because I got tired of waiting.
Yeah. And I think also blocking and which goes into our next question, the naysayers. And sometimes naysayers, they may come in the form where they're trying to encourage you, but you had a legitimate person that was trying to give you advice where they probably thought that was good advice to give you, but that was probably just their lack of, I guess, faith for them to move forward.
Right.
So you definitely had to watch out for those naysayers. Definitely had to watch out because, again, your vision is your vision. He may see it a certain way where you had to wait, and you see it like, I need to step out on faith. And sometimes you just got to go by your gut intuition of what you need to do. So that's really good advice on that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
you're always going to have, the naysayers are always going to be there. That's why I tell people, make sure you surround yourself with people who are going to support you and people who challenge you, people who make you grow. What's that saying? If you're the smartest person in the room, you need to go find another group of people. That is so true. You constantly. One of the main mottos I say on a daily basis, I say at least once a day, is learn something new every day. If someone gives me new knowledge, my immediate response is, oh, wow, didn't know that. Learn something new every day. And I say that repeatedly to myself because it reinforces in my mind, constantly be willing to soak in knowledge because you don't know everything.
Right.
So keep growing on that, keep doing it, and then pass on. So you have to. That's why you have to be around people who are going to constantly help your mind, challenge your mind to grow a little bit more. And then also have those people who are constantly going to be there saying, "Hey, you're going to do it. You're going to make it." my, you know what I'm saying, my best friend, rest his soul, when he was basically the first person I told my plan to. And he knows me. And he was like, he knows I'm an impatient person. To the core of me, I'm a very impatient person. If there's something I want, I gotta have it right then and there. So for me to have it come out of my mouth, that I'm gonna put myself on a 10-year plan and sacrifice all these to make sure things are going the way they need to go. I knew he's thinking in his mind, whoa, 10 years? You,
Let me know in 6 months.
you who want something, who will travel 45 miles to go get something because he doesn't want to wait 2 days for it to arrive in the mail.
That's me. That is me.
And so he would, but when his first work he came, he said, well, if you're able to do it, I know it's going to be tough for you because you can't wait. But if you're able to do it, I'm going to be one of the first people to pop that bottle with you when it happens. And that's what you need. You know what I'm saying? And so for him to know me like that and be like, bro, I don't, you know you can't wait, but keep going. I got you. Keep pushing forward. You need that. You need that in life, though. So always surround yourself with people like that, no matter what it is. If you got to lead people around in order to find that group of people who are able to do that,
they are out there.
Right.
I don't know. Go ahead.
You know, everybody's not going where you're growing, and it's unfortunate, but you got to be okay with accepting that. You have to be, and you also have to, like you said, surround yourself with people that can challenge you and also hold you accountable. Because a lot of us don't want to be held accountable when we mess up.
Very true.
Yeah,
but
be willing to take advice.
Yes, absolutely.
True.
Definitely need to do a character check.
Yes,
and I think in entrepreneurship, I ain't an expert like Darlington. I'll be there one day, but I noticed that you gotta constantly like keep checking yourself because sometimes in the back of our head we're like, oh yeah, we made it, but there's other steps that you gotta take and kind of humble ourselves and like, okay, we still got a lot of work to do, and I have to be willing and open enough to take in advice when somebody's trying to give it to me, but also have that spirit of discernment to see if it's the right advice.
Right.
So it's like you're really. Point of entrepreneurship, you're really managing yourself, your thought process, not just your brand, but even like the way that you think.
Right.
Of course, and that's very important that you said that. Like you said, you're managing yourself, taking in that advice, soaking in. Be willing to take in the advice, but then at the same time have the wherewithal to be like, is this the right advice?
Right.
Exactly.
And that all comes from the people that you're around.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you're around the right people, then you won't have to ask yourself that question as much as you would if you're just getting it from just everyone who knows you, maybe an aunt who hasn't seen you in 6 months.
Right, they just has an opinion.
Right.
Some people everybody has an opinion.
Everybody has an opinion. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much for giving us that wealth of knowledge. I don't have any business ventures yet. But that is definitely something I want to look into the future. But thank you for that wealth of knowledge.
Thank you very much. He's giving me a lot of advice on my business.
Right.
And so I know Darlington in the streets. I know his sister. I know his family. He's like Big Brother Darlington in these streets. So if you guys out there that are watching this podcast, if you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comment section. And YouTube, and we'll reach out to Darlington, so you can
email us as well at p2sipsandconvo@gmail.com. But before we go, we want you to tell the people where they can buy Veev.
You can go on veevlife.com, veevlife.com. Put in your zip code, and it will give you locations. We have been blessed where it is everywhere. Typically, no matter where you are, your local liquor store will have it. A lot of your restaurants, Ruth Chris is some of the restaurants that have it. A lot of the Disney, we have it at the Disney locations, Disney cruises, Disney worlds, Disney things like that. They have a lot of your local restaurants, or maybe a lot of your restaurants, a lot of your bars will also have it as well too. But definitely go on veevlife.com, put in your zip code. Also, partner with Luxco, LUXCO.com. You can also go on there and determine, depending on your area, where you can find it at.
And the holidays are coming. This particular bottle is my birthday gift from Darlington, but the holidays are coming. It'll be great holiday gifts, and you can also mix it with your holiday drinks that you're making. So like maybe mojitos.
It's a very smooth taste. So it definitely makes a great mojito, great Cosmo. You can drink it on the rocks if you want to, nice and chill, good temperature, and it will go down very smooth for you. Mojito, martinis, pretty much all you vodka drinkers out there, however way you like to drink your vodka, however way you like to mix it. I personally like to drink it with Sprite, so it goes really good with Sprite. That's my preference. I know people who've had it as a martini. Some of the restaurants have it out there as a martini mixed blend. Disney has it as their sponsored drink as a martini type drink. Seasons 52 has it as a super berry fruit mixer drink. So you can pretty much, it's one of those drinks that you can basically mix it with almost anything. And you will have a really, really good taste coming from it.
Well, I personally can't wait to taste it. I wanted to wait till this moment to have you on the show before I actually opened the bottle, but I personally thank you. I cannot wait to drink it.
Yeah, I wish I could drink it too, but I didn't get a bottle. I'm gonna go ahead and just say it. I'm sure y'all out there like, where's my last bottle? I'm gonna take one. So I gotta go to the restaurant. I hope y'all do too. I'll get you a sip.
So maybe Darlington can take us to Ruth Chris's, and then we can have steaks and vodka.
And I've been knowing this one for years.
Hold on, like this. You will not do me like this. Hold on.
All these guys, I didn't get anything. Hi. I've been sitting here first the whole time.
Well, I am the nice one, so.
Now we're turning into a comedy show. Okay, so yes, thank you for tuning in to Sips&Convo.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Darlington, for being on the show with
Thank you, ladies, for having me.
Thank you for having me. Sips&Convo.
Cheers.
Thank you.
And please press like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for tuning in.
You do.